Welcome to Davidtree's Love Who You Are podcast. If you're new to Davidtree, we certify meditation teachers and offer online courses in yoga for anxiety and teaching yoga to children. Davidtree's been a leader in the wellness industry for almost 30 years. I'm your host, Candice Lapointe. Join me as I connect with insightful guests who share the surprising places their meditation, yoga, and wellness journey have taken them. Navigating the human experience can feel perilous at times, but our guests share how embracing their radical uniqueness and applying self-compassion can change everything. Well, hello there. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Love Who You Are podcast. The conversation we have for you today is like a permission slip for the soul. We're diving deep into the topic of self-promotion with the luminous Rachel McGarry, an award-winning Canadian mantra artist, yoga teacher, and sound healing practitioner. Our conversation today is for everyone, not just entrepreneurs or wellness professionals, but anyone who's ever tried to show up more authentically in their work, school, business, parenting, relationships, or life, and thought, am I doing this right? Together, Rachel and I explore the topic of self promotion, something that often feels performative or uncomfortable, but can actually become a natural expression of who you are when it's rooted in your truth. This leads us into the territory of what it really means to create, live, and serve from a place of authenticity. Rachel shares how she's built a life and business led by joy, guided by feminine power, and grounded in daily practices that keep her connected to her why. She opens up about her evolving relationship with the divine feminine, embracing sensitivity as strength, and how letting go of outside expectations has helped her share her gifts more freely and fully. This conversation is a beautiful reminder that when you honor your story, your rhythm, and your truth, you begin to align with the people, opportunities, and paths that are meant for you. Whether you're stepping into something new, rebuilding something old, or simply looking for encouragement to keep showing up as yourself, this episode offers deep insight and gentle guidance. Let's begin. Well, hello there, Rachel. Thanks so much for joining me.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
You're freshly back from Costa Rica.
I am.
And I wanted to congratulate you. This was your first international retreat. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Awakening your inner goddess. How was it?
It was incredible. I partnered with Kelly Riston, who's a beautiful yoga teacher out of Chicago that I met on our Bhakti pilgrimage in India last year. And we knew like instant connection, instant sisterhood. And we knew that we wanted to work together in some way. And she has many years experience doing these sorts of retreats. And so we started thinking about the goddess and how we can weave that into a beautiful, magical adventure for folks. And so that's what we did. It was far exceeded anything I could have hoped it would be. It's opened up a window of possibility that I didn't really fully realize. And my mom reminded me, she's like, Rachel, you started researching retreat centers in Costa Rica pre-pandemic. And I'm like, I forgot. But like the divine has her own timing where she's just like, all right, now it's time.
Oh my gosh. We really wanted to invite you on to the podcast. You're just such a bright light to so many people, Rachel, and you were such a strong and vibrant soul doing the self-promotion thing. And so I wanted to invite you on to get a background on your self-promotion pieces and how you go about navigating it as an artist and a wellness professional. You do it with such grace and strength, and just knowing about coming to this space myself, there's a lot of pieces to it. So talking about this retreat piece, like you and Kelly did such an amazing job. And now I'm seeing the unfolding of everything in your newsletters and insights from the retreat. And can you share about your process? I guess when I invited you onto the podcast, I said that we wanted to talk about this. And you even said in your response back to me, like, sometimes I kind of feel like I'm just starting out at this too. Like it doesn't, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So can you get into a little bit of those feelings?
Yeah, sure. Like I feel like I am certainly not an expert in this. I'm learning. I'm a beginner. I'm learning and I'm finding my groove. And I am finding the things that work for me because self promotion as a solopreneur, a spiritual entrepreneur is very different than it could be in a marketing firm or whatever, right? And it's like, and I'm one person. I have to know how much energy and effort is needed and where best to put my efforts. And so it's taken a little bit of experimentation, but I feel like at the base of it all is what's authentically me. And I'm told all the time, you need to put more on your stories. You need to be on socials more. You need to, and I'm just like, I do it when it feels good. I don't have a schedule. I don't predetermine posts. I find that the way that like for me, connection is really important. And my main vehicle for connection with my people is through my newsletter. And that is where I get to be really raw and authentic and sharing my experiences. And I feel like I can be vulnerable with this group. And it's a very loving community and connection. So I only do the pieces I enjoy. And I know that maybe is unconventional and it flies in the face of every business person who says, okay, you need to have this in place in order to have a successful business. And yes, I'm still growing. And yes, I'm in this expansion phase in my work right now. And I know there's a lot more to learn and grow. However, I feel like I found my lane. And I think it all comes down to only sharing what's authentically true, only sharing what feels good to share that provides some value for folks. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and yeah, it's promotion, but my promotion is really just telling people what I do and like sharing my experience. And I feel like for those of us who are solopreneurs in this spiritual kind of wellness space, my business is me. Like it's my energy, it's me. It's people come to me because they're drawn to me, not because they want to learn how to sing, because they could do that with anybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like remembering the reason why people want to work with me and giving them the opportunity to get to know me.
Well,
Yeah.
that's such a vulnerable thing though, don't you think? Because it brings up a lot of pieces about, yeah, putting yourself out there, but
Mm-hmm.
then also setting yourself up for perhaps what might not come about. You know, everyone has intentions, of course. It's like you're putting yourself out there, you're getting perhaps ready for this retreat, you're hoping that it's, you know,
Mm-hmm.
successful and you've got all of these participants and but is there ever this under little background tab open saying, what if this doesn't all work out? Or, you know, you're putting yourself out there. What if people aren't receiving or it doesn't get the same
Mm-hmm.
reception that you were hoping it would have gotten?
Yeah. And I come to terms with the fact that I am not for everybody. I'm a weirdo. I am not for everybody. There are going to be the people that are drawn to me, and there are going to be people that are drawn to you and drawn to every other yoga teacher. And it's something that I really embraced through our yoga teacher training with David Tree many years ago, which is that there's room for everyone, and everyone will bring their own medicine and their own magic, and they will attract their own following, their own clients. So I don't feel worried about that so much as long as I stay in my own authenticity, in my own lane, because I know that there are people that are going to be drawn to the work that I do. And there are going to be people that are not, because I'm just not in resonance with them. I'm just not the right person for them to work with. And that's okay. I can refer you to a handful of really beautiful voice coaches, yoga teachers, other studios, whatever it is that people are looking for, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so has
Yeah.
that happened to you where you have specifically have had those aha moments where it's like, I just don't feel as though we align. And so you have made those recommendations and
I can't think of any time that
yeah,
that's
yeah,
happened because I
sorry.
think that some people won't necessarily tell me I'm not feeling you. They just don't come or sign up, right? Like I don't really notice that. In terms of my yoga practice, I believe rest is medicine. I'm all in the restorative yin meditation lane. And if people are looking for a workout, I'm not your teacher. You'll know from the first class, I am not your teacher. I'm not going to, work your abs and get your ass hard. Like that is not the kind of teacher that I am. So I think people self-select when they have an experience and then I won't see them again and that's fine. Yeah.
Where do you think that this acceptance of just allowing people to be in their own lane and not necessarily this whole philosophy of not resonating with everybody, where do you think that comes from? Because I feel like like there are a lot of people out there that would say that it matters to them about, having people like them or having people connect. And
Mm-hmm.
there's maybe perhaps something linked to the self promotion piece
Yeah.
with having people liking it.
I think there's a certain like maturity
Okay.
involved too. And I'm at a certain place in my life where there's going to be people that don't like me, and that's okay. But what I'm focused on are the ones that do, and the ones that are in my world. And how can I best serve the clients that are here? Because those clients bring other clients that are like them. If I can nurture the relationships with the people that really value the work that I do, they will tell a friend, they will bring a friend, they will refer me to somebody else because they have a really good experience. So I'm not really focused on the people that aren't here. I'm focused on the people that are here, and I'm growing my business in that way. And my newsletter is my main vehicle for connection, and I have a really high open rate. And I feel like I put a lot of effort and intentionality toward the things that connect me with the people that actually read, listen, watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, I'm growing and I'm expanding, and I collaborate a lot, and I work in a lot of other communities, and I'm traveling all over, and I'm in a yoga studio in Port Stanley, and I'm in Rodney at Stable Grounds, and I'm all over the place sharing my work. Like tomorrow morning I am opening a conference for the Equity Coalition. Like I get to do really interesting pieces of work. Although I am growing and I'm expanding, I don't really think about that so much, actually. Like, I don't worry about someone on socials just saying, I don't like you. I don't like what you do. Like, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
Yeah,
yeah.
interesting because it's like I think you mentioned that it's more of a maturity thing. And so I'm so
Hmm.
curious about that because would you say then that obviously this place that you're in, this confidence, this ability to maybe be in a non-attached zone where again you're giving yourself grace of whether or not people resonate with your work, and if they do, that's fabulous, but if they don't, then they're going on their own way. And do you think that that confidence has come through experience, or have you always just had this this
Oh no, no. I think that it's definitely experience and maturity, and more importantly, trusting in the divine and deepening my relationship with the goddess. I think for me, trusting that all my own needs are always met in amazing ways. Like that is the key to it. I just, as I'm maturing and I'm getting older and I'm connecting more deeply with the divine, this relationship, and trusting that the other pieces just don't matter because I trust her. I know that I'm taken care of. I know things come in divine timing, like the Costa Rica retreat. Every time I gather with a group, there's a reason why every single person is there. And I'm just like, thank you for bringing this group together. And I trust that. And I think that's where this comes from, is that I just know that I'm not in charge of this. So I can make 800 TikToks a day, but I'm not in charge of who comes to my programs. Like I'm not in charge of who's sent to me. So I feel like I do what feels inspired. I ask for guidance. I meditate every morning and I connect in and I tune in and I'm like, all right, just show me, show me. And I think that's where it comes from, is this like belief in something bigger than myself that is guiding my life. And that's not something I've always had. That's something that I've been cultivating over the last 10 years, is this deep relationship with the goddess, with the divine. And for me, the divine is always feminine. It's always mama. And I think that's where it comes from. It's just this trust, this trust.
That's so beautiful, Rachel. And I'm just thinking, what does that look like? So you're saying that you've got this kind of let go. You understand that people show up and it's not necessarily from your doing. You just think that like the universe is working its magic and sending people to you that are supposed to be in around, or no. Sorry, I'm just looking at your
Yeah, yes,
okay.
yes, and I'm not sitting on my ass waiting for it to happen. Like I do things. I write my newsletter every week. I take the action when I'm told what to do. I do it. I reach out to people as I'm like I get these downloads of like, this image of this person or this organization or whatever, you need to reach out to this person today. And inevitably it's always, oh my gosh, you caught me at just the right moment. I'm just walking into a meeting. We're about to talk about, da, 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 da. I'll bring it to the meeting. Like, it's always that. So it's not that I don't take action. I'm just sitting here waiting. All you beautiful humans, come on in. It's not like that at all. It's more like I listen for guidance and then I take action. I listen for guidance and I take action. I'm always working. I love my work. I'm always, you know, creating new programs or reaching out to people or writing or creating music or whatever it is that I'm doing. I love it. I'm like, someone asked me the other day when am I planning to retire? I'm like, never, never. Like, I love this, and my work nourishes me on such a soul level. Like, it's like, I'm blessed to get to do this. And
Mm.
so, and do I ever worry? I mean, I worry less now than I used to when I was first starting and trying to figure it out. And how am I going to because my life is unconventional. Like, how am I going to make a living from singing and writing songs, which Spotify pays me like, and I don't know, I get a royalty check of a few dollars every 6 months. Like, it's not the way I earn my living, but how do I make a living from my music and my art and from teaching yoga? Like, I was like, in the beginning, I was like, oh my God, I'm funding my music by teaching yoga? Like, what how do you do this? Right? It's like, you know what? I make it work. And I've figured out ways and I've just trusted. And I'm like, no, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is the path I'm meant to be on. And just the dedication to it as well and commitment to it brings other opportunities as my skills expand, as my expertise grows, as my network grows, right? It's taken time. Like, I did my yoga teacher training, and Bhakti was first in 2016. So, like, that's 8 years ago, 9 years ago that I started on this path. And it's only the last couple of years that I've really felt like, okay, this is a financially viable career. I'm not living off savings anymore. I was in the beginning because
Mm.
I was recording and making music. I am living off only what I earn, and I'm starting to save. And it's like, this is a beautiful place for someone like me who was just like, I don't know how to make this work, but it's like, committing to it and doing what needs to be done, learning about business systems, putting things in place to make this not a hobby business, but a real business, a real career for myself. And it's expanding and growing in beautiful ways. And I think the more that I trust that I'm being guided, the more that I show up with discipline and rigor and love and attention, and intention, that it just starts to happen in these beautiful synchronous ways.
I think that's so beautiful, Rachel. I think that you're right. Like, your love and your passion for this work really comes through. So what I'm hearing you say is that you're not obviously just taking a backseat and having everything come your way. You are still actively,
Yeah.
putting yourself out there and with intention. And
Mhm.
do you think then results is maybe this non-attachment piece? It's like, I'm doing the work that I know and I love and that I want out in the world, and what comes back to me is you always have this kind of underlying hope, no, that things will be successful and that it lands for people, and that maybe it's not even a monetary thing, but perhaps it's just like an amazing aha for another yoga student or someone in your
Mm.
retreat, right? There's a lot of, I
Yeah.
think, blessings that come about that aren't just monetary, but also in
Yeah.
this work that are for people in their own personal growth and their spirituality.
Yes. All of those things fuel my desire to do this work. Like, I need to do work that I feel has impact in the world and that is meaningful. Like, my purpose is really to create music that heals the world and builds and deepens this connection we have with the divine. That is my purpose. All the different ways that I do that, through yoga, through music, through the sacred singing sessions that I run, through the retreats that I do. Like, this is all the underlying piece. And yeah, it's hugely rewarding. I couldn't do work that didn't have impact in the world, that didn't make the world better in some way, didn't support people in some way. So I mean, I grew up in a background where my grandfather really lived a life of service. And so I learned that really early, that is what life is about. It's not about all these flashy things and labels and cars and blah. It's not that. It's about being able to serve your community, being able to show up and make the world better because you're in it, and it's always stayed with me no matter what career I was in. I did a lot before I came to this, and mostly in nonprofits, community health, that sort of work, working with newcomers. And it was this devotion to service, that feels. And I will say, and also, this is a business and it needs to earn income and money so I can keep doing the work that I do. So yes, I have an eye, of course, on all of the impact of the work, but then also the financial piece needs to be in place too, in order for it to be sustainable, in order for me to keep doing this. And so yes, of course. And I have a life that, in order for me to make music, I need to earn a lot of money to make music, because it costs a lot to make an album, like $30,000. And so it's like, okay, so let me earn so that I can continue to create. Mm-hmm.
And that's so
Yeah.
amazing. I love
Yeah.
that. I really do. And I was just thinking about how you talked previously on you're letting the divine guide you and you're getting these like downloads, or you are feeling like you're being guided into a particular space. Can you talk more about what that looks like for you? How do you end up with this inner knowing that this is where you're supposed to be, regardless of the
Mm.
people telling you that you've had such an impact on them? What's that look like for you or feel like?
Yeah, I think if I think about my practice, when I show up and open, um, for me, it's a felt sense. Occasionally, I've had words whispered into my ear, like who the hell said that? But most of the time, it's this felt sense of, oh, or this, like, just this little nudge, like an image of somebody will come to my mind. It's like, okay, reach out to this person, or this is not a good decision. Like, I get this real physical sensation of say no to this opportunity. For me, it's just regularly showing up and opening to listen or asking questions, you know, but and then, I mean, the divine is not like, I'm not like, hello, mama, can you give me a hand? Well, sometimes it is that. Can you give me a hand over here? But really, it's like the divine is sitting right here, right? So it's just like tuning into my heart and being like, okay. When I was in India, Radhanath Swami said, like, the divine is seated at the right of our heart, waiting for our hearts to turn toward her. And that is exactly what I picture. It's just like this, when I'm busy in other things and I'm trying to make it happen or strive, or like, okay, here's my to-do list, I gotta do da-da-da-da-da-da. I'm ignoring that. I'm turned away. But when I turn in and tune in and pay attention and say, Mama, what's next? Show me. That is when I'm doing the most important work. And I say to folks all the time, I'm like, my morning practice is the most important thing I'll do all day. No matter what I got on the agenda, that is the most important thing, is this connection with myself, with the divine, having clarity, starting my day grounded. Like, that is key for me having a really successful, balanced, emotionally stable day, is having that time in that moment. So I encourage anyone to develop or enhance that. And maybe like a meditation practice or morning practice, but then maybe, like, if you're not asking for signs of what's next,
Mm-hmm.
ask what's a priority for me today, or where am I going? And and the answers are there. And some of us, it'll be this felt sense of knowing, is this the right decision? I mean, I pull oracle cards, I journal, I do, like, it's a bit of a process. And like, some days I have more time than others, and some days I'll be reading sacred text or spiritual kind of books and knowledge, but always the connecting in.
So
Yeah.
it sounds like you really make this container for yourself of being able to get those messages and that heartfelt sense of where you're going and what you should be doing next. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's such a beautiful thing. Can you let us in a little bit on how this spiritual practice came into your life and how you got to where you are today? Have you always been a spiritual person?
I don't know. I could say, I mean, I grew up, as many folks do, in a Christian sort of environment, a Catholic environment. And I left when I was in university and realized, like, this is not, like, to me, the whole masculine piece didn't work. The male dominated, the being sinners, like, all this didn't sit well. And so, I left, but then had this emptiness where it was just like, I don't know what to fill it with. And then I recognized, like, I was a psych major in university, and a lot of my electives were world religions, goddess culture, like all of these things, right? Like, and studying the ancient goddess systems. And I was just like, oh, isn't that interesting? And X number of years later, I'm right back in there because that's what like was really exciting for me then. I think there was a gap where I was kind of floundering and not knowing. And then I think shortly after I graduated university, I started practicing yoga. And so I did that, like the physical practice of yoga. And so then I think that evolved into the physical practice and understanding something about this makes me feel really good. And so then it's like, okay, tapping into the more meditation aspect of it, and then the more study. And then, so I think that it's come over decades, and it took time for that first yoga class to turn into a daily practice, for sure. It took lots of years before that happened. It took lots of years before it was more than this physical practice that they make me feel good emotionally or made me feel stable or grounded or whatever. But for sure, over the last, gosh, I would say 15 or 20 years, it's been, an important part of my life. And I'd say definitely the last 15 years has been a daily practice. Yeah, yeah.
And I love this about you, Rachel. You talk a lot about the goddess, and the retreat that you were just on was awakening your inner goddess. And so this
Mhm.
obviously is a plays a big role in your life, and you lean on the goddess energy a lot. Does that brings you strength and confidence to do this work? But what would you give in terms of like a perhaps advice for somebody that doesn't feel as though they're as confident moving forward in this self-promotion piece? I'm
Mm,
thinking
yeah,
there's tons of yoga teachers and artists and wellness professionals, and it can be very hard to put yourself out there. And
yeah,
so,
yeah.
do you have any advice to those who are looking to move forward in with their self-promotion?
Yeah. I think it's really important to know why you're doing what you're doing, and starting from there, like, know your why. Know the thing that makes you get up in the morning and want to do what you're doing. And it can't just be for money. There has to be a bigger why, because people will give you money to do work for them, right? But your why needs to be compelling. And once you know that, then let that fuel any efforts. Talk about that. For me, my music, creating music that heals the world, that connects us to the divine, is the undercurrent of all my work. And it's easy for me to, when I know that, my why, it's easy for me to know whether an opportunity is a yes or a no right away. It's like, does it fuel this? Does it support this? Is it in alignment with it? If it's not, it's not. And so when it comes to promotion, does it align with this message? Does it align with my why? If it's not, then it's no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going on TikTok dancing around pointing my finger in all directions. Like, that's just not the way that I work, right? And so I feel like for somebody who's nervous to put themselves out there, I think the first piece is to really hone in on what it is that you do and why you do it, and own it. It took me a long time, honestly. Like, the things I struggled with years ago were, I'm a white woman teaching yoga, teaching bhakti, talking about the goddesses of yoga, talking about the Hindu mythology. This is what I struggled with. And until I could stand in my own authenticity and know, no, this is my spiritual path, this is real for me, I have something to offer. Yes, I am a white woman living in the West. I went all the way to India last year looking for permission to do what I do. I asked the monks, I'm like, I'm a white woman in Canada teaching this, is it okay? Like, wait a second. So it wasn't until I could stand in it and own it and say, no, I have something to contribute to this space. And I do this with reverence, with respect, in honor of the tradition. I'm okay with that. And when something is looking for something that I don't have the expertise to offer them, I will invite them to find someone with more knowledge than I have, with more experience than I have. So, and that's the advice that I got when I was in India. It's just like, you do what you do. And when you don't have the expertise to do it, you refer them to somebody else to study, right? And I feel like for someone else starting out, if you can know what you offer and really own it and really stand in knowing that what you provide has value, start from there. Start from there. The messaging is easy when it comes from there, from that place of like, okay, I might be, this person might be a yoga teacher who specializes in perimenopausal support because that's what they just went through. And they found all of these things that help them. That's so compelling than saying, I'm a yoga teacher for like 40 to 60-year-old women. And it's like, no, like, know what your niche is, know what's most compelling about you. You've been through this, tell the story. That story is going to appeal to so many people that are going through it right now that are your potential clients, right? Every other woman going through perimenopause is like, yeah, my yoga practice, it went off the rails when I started this, or all of these hormonal changes started happening. And like, you've got this person who's been through it, who has expertise. Share that. That's where, so I just feel like if we know who we are and we know who we're not, we're able to hone in and I don't know the word niche down, I guess, but like knowing who we are and what we have to offer and just standing in the power of that, and trust that they're going to be people just looking for exactly what you have to offer, the medicine you have to offer.
That's so amazing, Rachel. And I'm thinking too about the storytelling and this vulnerability about storytelling. And I think that you're right. There's just so much relation that can come about when we share our truth, when we share what we've been through. I mean, I know for sure that there are other people then that come in and say, like, hey, me too, me too. I've done it, right? Or I've had the
Yeah.
similar experiences. And I think that that's really key. And then also helping to create the community, to create the people that are your
Mm.
people that you resonate with and that are there with you doing the work. And
That's the joy. That's where all the juice comes from to
right.
fuel all the rest, right? Like, having your own business and being a solopreneur and doing almost everything yourself. By the way, I hire people. Like, I'll just talk about
Mm-hmm.
that in a minute. So
Yeah,
remind me if I forget
sure.
about like social media stuff. Some of it is like a lot, right? But the thing that fuels is all of the impact that the work does. This is just a piece of it, right? Like, maybe, I mean, I love writing my newsletters. That's not the piece, but maybe it's cold call reach outs and all of that are not my favorite thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, as a business owner, it's like, well, in order to attract new clients, I need to let them know that I'm here. I need to share what I do with a bigger audience, more people. I'm creating a digital course right now. That's going to be big. That means I have a much bigger audience. So I have to develop a marketing plan and strategy for outreach for that. That's going to be very different than my like intimate yoga sacred singing group of 9 women that I'm going to be teaching tonight. Like, it's going to be a very different marketing. And it's like, okay, so there's things that I'm going to need to learn. There's things that I'm going to need to do that stretch me beyond my comfort zone. Okay, well, that's part of it. I promised myself I wouldn't release anything out into the world until I had a marketing plan for it ever again. Like, I had a membership that came out during COVID, and it was okay during that time. But then as soon as it was over, it was just like I had no plan to reach for outreach, and people wanted in-person stuff and not online stuff anymore. And so I just had to come to terms with closing it because I didn't know how to market it. Not that it wasn't good, the quality was good. So now I'm just like, okay, this is a piece of the business, and it may not be the piece that I love the most. I love singing with people. I love holding space for women to explore the inner depths of their worlds. Those are the things that light me up. But I only get to do that if I do the other things too.
Are you passionate about meditation but find you've lost focus and inspiration in recent years? Are you searching for the right techniques to help create a meditation practice? Our online meditation teacher certification explores this expansive and life affirming practice in a way that honors your individuality. When it comes to meditation, we all need something unique, and this course offers you endless creative options so you can uncover the style that works best for you. Head over to devatree.com, devatree.com to get started today. See you there. I'm hearing
Yeah.
so many things. I'm hearing perspective because knowing that there are certain things that have to get done that maybe aren't your most favorite jazzed up
Mm-hmm.
pieces, but then knowing that that will then translate into the pieces that you love to do. And
Mm-hmm.
then also honoring when things don't necessarily work out as per planned or lack of plan. Can you talk a little bit more about that? I know that you said you were going to talk about the social media stuff. We will come
I
back to
will.
that
I will
too.
after.
But
Yeah.
how do you honor or how do you come to terms with something when it doesn't work out?
Mm. I am a creative person. I have 8 million ideas at any given time. You can imagine I have a list of things that I'm just like, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this. And it's just like, okay, I can't do it all at the same time and do it well. So I look at it as I've learned this over the years because in the beginning I would hold on to things and just like try to make them work and like, oh, let me just try this and maybe just a while longer. And now I'm just like a friend of mine who's a business guy who has a lot of experience and way higher levels of wealth than I can imagine would say business owners, they take risks quickly. They take risks, they put themselves out there, they fail fast and they move on. And I'm like, okay, I just need to fail faster. So if it's not working and it didn't land, I throw something out there, it doesn't land, it falls like flat, nobody wants it. I'm just like, okay, let's put something else out there. Like, let's just, or maybe it's not the time for that. Or maybe like I missed the marketing, missed the mark a bit. Or maybe like, so it's like asking my people, the best things I've ever created that have grown legs have been the things people have asked me to do. It's not the things that I've come up in my room going, oh, this membership would be a great idea. No, it's people saying, Rachel, can you teach sacred singing circles? And I'm like, what do you mean? Can we bring a couple of women together and you teach us what you do? And I'm like, sure. So I do that. And then that grows to another group. And then I start telling people I'm doing that. And I'm full with the waiting list, full with the waiting list, full with the waiting list. And I'm just like, I didn't plan it. People ask me. And that's like the divine working through that person who said to me, can you do this for me? And so I kind of know that I can have a million ideas, but when the timing is right, there's going to be some sort of guidance or way that's shown for me. And it's often through a person who asks me for it. So the things that don't land are often the things that I create in a bubble by myself. And I have to like just, recognize that and just be like, okay. So now I'm like, what do you think of this? Like right now, I'm being asked by a lot of men because I work mostly with women. Will you do a sacred singing group for men? And I'm like, yeah. So that's the next piece because I was asked to do it. And so I'm working with a man, that's one of the men who's asked me, I'm saying, well, bring men together. Let's do this together. Right. And so it's interesting. It's interesting because I never would have ever thought I'd want to work with men to support men to find their voices because of course, men's voices get shut down in awful ways too, as well as women's do, maybe different ways. But it's just like, oh, yeah, of course. So it's knowing when things are meant to be that things line up like this, because that's how the divine works. It's like all these little threads, these people that come, these divine like inspiration that comes in the form of other humans that tell me what's next.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's so amazing. I just loved the fact that there was a man in your life that was courageous enough to come forward and say like, "Hey, this is a like predominantly like female kind of thing, the singing circles,
Yeah.
but I want to get more involved with it." And I think you're right. Like obviously, why not? How could it not be beneficial for men as well?
Yeah.
And do you think that there is a reason that this is coming forward right now? Why this gentleman has said that like he
Mm.
thinks that it would be important work.
Yeah, I know what it is for this particular person.
Okay.
And I can imagine when you said that, I started laughing because I know what it is for me, why I'm being asked to do this
Right.
right now. And for me, I've been working over the last couple of years on healing my relationship with the masculine. And so for me, this is like a step in that path. For me personally, I know that Beloved came out last year and that is a healing song for me, for the masculine and feminine coming together, and me with my partner that I've been with for a couple of years now. It's this learning to trust the masculine fully,
Mm.
that the masculine can hold me, can support me, that he's safe. Like these are all things that I'm learning later in my adult life, right? Like, and so it's been a real healing journey. So I think this coming now and shifting my focus from working only with women primarily, like yoga is everybody, but mostly women. And then to have a man say to me, yeah, I've had this experience in my life, which shut down my voice. And I'm looking to find a way to open it.
Mm.
And for me to be able to say, yes, it feels really safe for me to have a group of men that I work with is a really big piece in my own journey.
Hmm. Well, so amazing that you can see and feel that this is another stepping stone in your own
Mm,
journey, like you were saying, your own healing journey, and how interesting that the work that you're doing is having a direct impact on that journey, right, for you.
mhm.
That's so amazing. So I
It's
think it's
always linked.
yeah, there's so many different pieces to it all. That's Wow. Okay, so you talked about this little social media bit. Okay,
Yes,
let's go back to
yes.
that.
Okay. So I recognize that I do need to up my game on social media. Like it's just a nature of business. I recognize that I needed to level up my social media content and that, the things that I was creating was the best I could do on my own, but not really good. And so I started working with Brad Spencer from Bradbeard Studios about a year and a half ago now he's a videographer to do some video content for me. So we do content creation every month. And he's helping me with the filming of my digital course this year, which is going to make sure it's like freaking masterclass level. Like it's going to be beautiful. So he's been working with me to do all of the things you've seen over the year, the videos of some of my events, the promotion for the Forest City London Music Awards, like all of these pieces, my Reiki, demonstrations, my sound bath stuff. Like he's done all of the video for me and editing, and it's been a game changer for me. So I'd rather have less content and have only quality content than be producing a whole bunch of shit every day.
Mm-hmm.
So I said shit like under my breath. I can say shit.
Yeah, you can. You totally can.
So yeah. So for me, it's focused on quality, and that's where I put intentionality. It's like, okay, if I look at the next 6 months, what is most important in my work? And like, we decided to do this yoga retreat. We were thinking of doing it, the Awaken Your Inner Goddess, in August this year, but the timing worked better in March. We only had 3 months to promote it and fill it and advertise it and all of that. And so Brad came in and did the video, and we made so many mistakes. I don't know if you saw the blooper video, but it was hilarious.
Mm.
And so he created the blooper video. And I think I had people say to me, I almost gave you my credit card after seeing the blooper video.
Because
And
it's
I'm just
real,
like,
though. It's
I
real.
know. And like, I got so many comments. Oh, a yoga teacher who says fuck. And I was like, yeah, we do. But it's real, but and it also shows humanity. So that's another thing about it's like, don't make it too polished. Like it doesn't have to be perfect. That got more views than lots of other things that were more like, oh, and here's why, da, da, da. It's like the humanity. People want to see that and the relatability. And if you can make somebody laugh, or make somebody feel good.
Yeah.
Like I put a video post out last week that was, if you ever wonder what I'm doing while you're in Shavasana, and I had my swing chime
I saw,
over.
yes.
Yeah, this is Stacy. We were doing some promo for an event we have coming up, which is Community Chi. So she's an acupuncturist. And so I will sing and do sound healing work while she's like needling all the people laying on their yoga mats. And it's a really beautiful thing. We're doing this beautiful one for spring. Anyway, so we were doing some promo for that. And then at the end, I'm like, hey, can someone just take a little video of this? And it just came organically. And it's been like immediately it had over 2,000 views. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, who expects something? You never know what's going to do it. But I guess people were curious. And I had so many students at the studio were going, yeah, I wonder what that instrument was. And like, for me, it's just like, it's such an everyday thing. I don't even think about it. But they were like, whoa, that's what you're doing. Because their eyes are closed. Right. They don't know. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, from what I'm hearing you say is that you're so open to trying so many new things. And like you said before, if one thing doesn't work out, you're not sitting around and bummed out that this hasn't worked out. You're on to the next thing. Okay, that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Like now let's move on. And I think that really resonates in the social media world a lot because I don't think that every single post that you put out there is going to obviously resonate and get all the views and the likes and right. And so, yeah, social media is its own episode almost. It's like, it's such a wild, wild world. I was just, as soon as you were talking, I was like, oh my gosh, I remember your promo for the retreat. And I was like, wow, you were trying something different. I think you were like coming into your house. You were like taking off I was like, I was getting like, and not in a bad way at all, but like influencer vibes, it's like, you're like capturing people's attention and anyways, it's just, you have such an amazing way about you, Rachel, pulling people in and
thank you.
Yeah. And I love that.
Thank you. I think working with the videographer, with a filmmaker actually helps to create the stories like that because we sit and we roughly kind of plan it out and then we just have fun. And I think that comes through. Like I think it's really important who I work with in that sense because I feel so comfortable with him. I can like laugh and goof up and make mistakes 8 million times and we just laugh about it. And lots of times when I'm talking or singing, he's behind the camera and he's like smiling and nodding, and I just like makes me laugh, right? Like, yeah. So I think working with somebody you feel really comfortable with if you're creating content is really important, because yeah, it comes across, the lightheartedness comes across because we're having fun doing it. This is why I feel like I don't do a lot, because I don't want it to be like forced. I want to only put things out when I'm having a good time and I really want to do it. And I feel like, oh my God, I have something to share. Like when I came back from Costa Rica, I don't often do this, but I was like, oh, here are the things I brought back with me from Costa Rica. All of these, like, this is the wisdom, the learnings, these top 10 things. And like, how I'm going to treat my body better when I come back. It's like more sleep, more food. Like, why am I starving myself here? Like, I hardly eat. And I realized there, because people cook for me. But anyway, but yeah, so it's like, for me, it's always about only posting when I want to. I know that so goes against everything that we're being taught about how to do social media. I don't really care. I don't have that many followers. I don't care.
Mm.
Like I don't watch the metrics that much. I think I just know it's part of my work and part of my business to do that. And I just want to offer something of value, and I want to let people know what I'm doing, because that's my job
Mm.
as a business owner. Is I need to let people know what's happening and what's coming up. And I can do, I'm sure I can do it 100% better. I'm sure someone's going to be watching this saying, she ain't know what she's doing. She could do so much better in business if she just did this. Call me. I'll be looking for someone to help me in the next level of my business.
Well, I think it is such an interesting point, though, because you've talked about this maturity and the let go of expectation of like, having things be so successful if it doesn't necessarily align with who you are and what you want out of life. But the social media aspect of it is really the opposite side of it. And I always am thinking about the younger generations now, like you saying you're mature, obviously had this time where social media wasn't such a big source of self promotion and
Oh yeah.
getting yourself out there. But it's just like the inherent way that social media works kind of pushes people into this attachment to the likes and this like vulnerable piece of wanting to make sure that your caption is perfectly done so that people resonate,
Yep.
think you're cool or think
Yeah.
so
Yeah. You
it's
know what? If I wanted people to think anything, just know that I'm a weirdo. Just know that as my mom says, it's just Rachel. She marches to her own drummer. There we go. I say I live an unconventional life. I'm not going to fit into what society says is the norms for a woman my age, whatever, right? And it's just like, and I'm okay with that, because I have a really beautiful life that I've created, and I'm doing work that has meaning in the world, that has impact. And I don't need 10,000 likes on a post. If I have one person that comes up to me after class, like last night, and says, since I've started doing meditations and practice with you, I've had so much shifting in my emotional world and in my life. Like, it's incredible. I feel like I'm finally on this path. Like, that's worth 8 million likes to me. Like, that's why I do it. And that matters to me. Those things don't mean anything to me, really. Yeah.
even by you saying, and my mom says I'm marching to the
Yeah.
beat of my own drum, it
Oh,
seems
yeah.
like you had this encouragement to be who you are.
Mm.
Could you say that happened to you, or that was a part of who you are from a very young age, and that you've had this encouragement from family
Yeah.
and
I don't know. Yeah, I think my mom's certainly a big fan, and I've always kind of been the one that's a little bit weird, like the one that didn't really fit in or tick all the boxes, or like go on to a traditional career path. I've always straddled many careers. I've always done lots of things because my mind is creative and I like to have something different to do every day, and I know that works best for me. And I don't like being in one place full time and getting involved in the drama and the politics of an organization. I'm just like, no, no, no. I'll just like pop in and pop out and do my work and keep myself, like, my emotional stability intact. So yeah, my mom growing up, it was just my mom, my sister, and I. And I feel like, yeah, my mom's always said things like, it's just Rachel. Like, she'll do what she does. Although growing up, there was still, when my mom remarried, there was a lot of pressure for me. I always knew I was going to university, but like they wanted me to be a doctor and follow in the footsteps of my stepfather's family and all of that. And so there was a lot of pressure around that. And I'm like, I'm an artist. I don't want to do that. It's like, so I took all maths and sciences in high school, preparing to go to university into like medical field. But everything I did on the side was drama, bands, like art club, like musicals, like all of the arts. And that was my big like sign. But there wasn't a lot of support because my family thought, you're going to be a starving artist. I don't want to send you to school to be a starving artist. And so there was certainly that. And I feel like it took years for me to come around before my mom was like, oh, you don't have to starve to be an artist. And I'm so proud of you. And like, you are, you are you. And so it's a lovely coming around. But I do remember those comments, like and it was okay to be different. It was okay to be different, although like you can be different, but you still got to be a doctor. So there was a little bit of that, but I feel like that's like all ancient history and in the past now. And I feel like there's a lot of definitely love and support for what I do. And my mom's proud of me. I'm able to do work that has impact and loves that I'm able to make music and use my voice in the way that I do. Mm-hmm.
So interesting. So thinking about this whole topic about self-promotion and how it can just
Mm.
show up in different, not necessarily just even in, as a yoga teacher or artist, wellness professional, but self-promotion in all aspects of life. So even Tamika and I were talking about this. It's writing your job resume or applying for scholarships
Mm.
or just like how you present yourself. It comes back to the thought about who you think you are. I'm going back to this thought that me and Tamika had about it because it's like you're talking about how you were so okay with being the different person, the different one. Who did you think that you were, right? How did you grapple with that?
I I don't know where this well, yes, I do. Okay, it's going to get a little weird, but I'm going to
Hmm.
tell you
I
that
love weird.
yes, I always knew I was powerful. As a child, I knew I was powerful. I knew I had this like strength. I always felt it. There's a lot, and not to say that I didn't get bullied, I didn't have like things happen at this traumatic things happen in my life, but I always knew that I was strong. And I always knew that it was a lie when people would say, oh, she's the sensitive one. I was like, yeah, I am. Yeah, I
Mm.
am, because I can see everything that's going on here. I know what's happening. I can see things that you don't see. Not it's not like see dead people kind of things you don't see, but
Right.
like I can see as a child. I remember seeing the real situation of what was happening, knowing what was safe and what was not. Like I remember feeling strength and power. So I think I've always known this, like at the core of that I'm a powerful woman. And then I remember feeling always protected no matter what. Like
Mm.
as I went through life, I was always protected, always protected. And then I started doing this practice, I don't know how many years ago now, where I would send love and protection and healing to baby Rachel, to little Rachel, to big Rachel and future Rachel, backwards and forwards in time. I would send all of this. And I recognized I was the one protecting myself
Mm.
because time is not linear. I was the one encircling this girl with power. It was me moving this energy through the continuum of time, space. I realized it was me. I just think it's incredible. I don't know how I got off on this long tangent, but I
Yeah,
forget what the question
I
was.
think it
But I've
was.
always known there was this power to me that even though I was sensitive, even though I was a weirdo. I think weirdos make the best friends, by the way. Even though I didn't fit in the way that, society tells us we need to behave and fit in a certain way. And even though I still fought the people pleasing, like obedient child kind of stuff, letting that go as a grown up, I knew that I had power. I knew that I was strong. I knew that my sensitivity was a gift, and I knew my ability to see situations as they are was a strength, not a weakness the way people made it sound. I knew my sensitivity was strength. And I didn't have to fight them. I didn't have to prove it. I never had to say it. I just knew. And I could let people believe that I was weaker. I just let them believe that, even as a child, I let them think that sensitivity was a weakness. I was just like, that's just what they think. And I was able to do that. Like,
Hmm.
and I think about her, that girl who just knew. It's just like, I know I'm the strong one here. I don't have to prove it. I don't have to say it. I know that I am.
Hmm.
Just that's come with me into my adult years. That little girl who knew who she was, who stood in power, who I'm not going to get into some stories, but there's, some stories in my past where this girl saved us,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
beautiful, Rachel. So it sounds
Yeah.
like you knew who you were this entire time.
Not to say I haven't forgotten over the years.
Okay.
My late teens, early 20s were this gap of forgetting that I think for most people we forget. Not even late teens, but like there's a place in a girl's life for sure. I can speak to that where what we know gets clouded or obscured or taken from us, or like we're told that that's not true, and we start believing to fit in, or we start believing to be liked, or to please or to get love or whatever it is. I think that happens to a lot of girls, but that's not gone.
Mm-hmm.
That piece is still there, and it's about uncovering it and remembering her, and then bringing her forward to help step into the next phase, the next chapter of life, and let her lead a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. You said you didn't want to get into all of the like nitty gritty about
Mm-hmm.
forgetting about who you were, but do you think that there is a process that someone could lean on in terms of remembering who they are if they're feeling a little
Mm-hmm.
bit lost?
Yeah, for sure. For me, it's the path of yoga and meditation and chanting and connecting in and just taking time to get to know. I do a lot of work with little Rachel. I have over the last, many years, play dates, allowances, all kinds of stuff have come out of, working with the inner child in me, right? And really reclaiming her, shamanic journey work, soul retrieval, like all that stuff, right? So I think there's a piece of reclaiming, of consciously reclaiming, remembering, spending time with, and remembering the stories of the times where she was free. you
Mm.
know? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I
But
love
it only comes if we're willing to take the time to look and come into meditation, come into these quiet spaces, do the work, the inner work, to really explore who we actually are without all the conditioning. When we can strip that belief, this away, this away, this away, it's like what's left at the end when all of that is stripped away.
Mm.
Yeah. And it takes time.
Thinking about that, coming back to yourself and knowing who you truly are and using that as the groundwork for your self promotion. I was thinking about this concept about self promotion and walking forward confidently in knowing who you are and what you believe in and what your truth
Mm-hmm.
is, but then
Mm-hmm.
also having to almost advocate for that too. It's a very vulnerable space. It's a different practice stepping into that self
Mm-hmm.
promotion piece in all realms, not just necessarily the self promotion of being an entrepreneur or a yoga teacher, but in
Yeah.
all spaces,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
And it's different when we're in the kind of work that we're in, and we're in this wellness, human work. If I was selling a computer, my marketing wouldn't need this sort of vulnerability. All I'd be saying is, I'm selling it at the best price and it's a high quality, and blah, here's where you can get it. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's no vulnerability needed there, right? Like, or maybe you make it in a funny way or whatever. But when what we're selling is us, when what we're selling is ourselves and our hearts and what we can offer, our soul work, like that's got to resonate with people on a heart level for them to say, I want to work with you. I trust you, and it's not, I trust you that you're going to sell me a good quality piece of merchandise. I'm trusting you with my heart, with my energy. Like whenever someone gets on my table for Reiki and sound healing, it's an honor. You're letting me into your energy space. You're letting me into your energy field and letting me muck around. I don't muck around, but like you're letting me in there. Right. And I feel like it's such an honor to do this work and a responsibility to do it in a way that is in alignment with that person's highest, my highest, to serve, to really serve. So it's different, and it does involve huge amount of trust, right? People come to my sacred singing groups and they talk about being shut down, being the messaging that they've been told as kids, children should be seen and not heard, which is bullshit. It's not children, it's girls. Boys are allowed to be boys, by the way. Girls should be seen and not heard. That to just mouth the words because your voice isn't good enough. Like all of these messages, like this takes vulnerability and this takes trust. And so I think when we're in this space, knowing for that person to know that they can trust me, that's key for them to want to work with me. And that takes time to build that trust. So maybe it's a little bit on social media, and maybe it's this regular newsletter where I'm sharing myself with people in a way that is real and vulnerable. One of the best compliments I ever got testimonials was like, yours is the only newsletter I ever opened because it's so real.
Mm.
And it's like, well, why would I share anything else? But because I don't have a spin, because I don't know what I'm going to write. It's just, I get the inspiration. Oh, this is what I'm going to write. Like one of my clients said something to me this week about the simple things, and it got me thinking. So my next newsletter is going to be all about like the simple things, right?
Mm. Yeah.
So like, I don't know, for me, it has to be organic. I've tried, okay, let's map out 3 months content schedule. I can't, it just can't work that way. It's not sustainable for me. I feel like it makes me not want to do it. And it makes me feel kind of sick. And I don't want to put anything into the world that makes me feel kind of sick.
Hmm.
So I'm okay to do it my way. And if I don't have 10 million followers, that's all right.
You're amazing, Rachel. That is just such wisdom. And can you let us in a little bit more? I know you've got your newsletter, but can you let us in a little bit more about some of the pieces that you took away from your Costa Rica trip and the retreat, and
Oh,
how it seems like it was such deep learning for everybody.
yeah, it's amazing. Like I said, I was just like, Mama, let the people come who are supposed to come.
Hmm.
We could have had a few more people. And I was like, okay, so it'll be this number, right? So it was 10 total. And I was like, okay. And then I realized when I got there, every single person was there for a reason. There were synchronicities and connections that we could not have anticipated. The age range was from early 20s to 60s. And there were friendships from 60-year-old and 20-year-olds. And like, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. And like shared life experiences, whether that's, injuries, divorces, whatever it was, all of the things. The reminder is just like, just trust the people who are supposed to be there will be there. The party's for the people that show up. I always say that. It's like, okay, here's one more reminder of that. So, but in terms of, I don't know if you're asking me for personal learnings or,
What would you like to share?
well, okay. So first, that Mama always knows. She sends the people that are supposed to be there. Second, that things happen in her timing, not mine. The things that I took away for myself personally was really about nurturing and self-care. I slept 8 to 10 hours a night. I went to bed before 9 o'clock every night there. Ate 3 really big meals with seconds every day and didn't gain weight. Like I just needed it. My body needs more fuel. I spent most of my day outside in nature. All of the humidity was so good for my skin, for my lungs, doing work that was so integral to who I am, and being received by this group in such a beautiful way, being able to create sacred space with women. Like all of these things nourished me on such a beautiful physical level, emotional level, soul level. I had the intention when I went that, yes, I'm here to hold space for all the women that are here. And I also am holding space for me too. So I went and I visited the goddess tree every day and sat there and meditated and asked for guidance. And I didn't even ask, actually. I didn't have anything to ask for. I was just sitting in gratitude mostly, but I got messages anyway. But yeah, just cleansing in the waters, like doing my own work while I was there along with everybody else. It felt really, really good to have that as an intention. And so, yeah, so much goodness and nourishment, and knowing that this path of the goddess is something that really resonates with folks, and that there's so much that we can apply to our everyday regular lives from these stories, the mythology, the ways that we can work with these different archetypal energies of the divine in a real tangible way is beautiful. So yeah, so those are all kind of pieces all over the place, random ramblings of thought, but
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're certainly on your authentic
Mhm.
path, your truth, and it translates into everything that you put out into the world. And
Mm.
there's already a 2026 retreat in works. And
Yes.
so there's that. Tell us the other fabulous things that you've got going on that are coming up
All
here.
right. Well, I'll start with that one. So, Awaken Your Inner Goddess, the Warrior Edition, comes out February 7th to 14th. We'll be back at the Goddess Garden in Costa Rica. If people are interested, they can just reach out. We recognize after our Durga workshop, I'm like, I could do a whole week of the warrior, and we need the warrior right now. We need women to stand in their strength, stand in their power with all that's going on in the world right now. The warrior is needed. We need to be able to call upon our bravery, our courage, our strength, our ability to stand up for ourselves, to stand up for others who don't have a voice, to be able to be advocates, to fight for justice. Like, we need women in these roles. And so this is why we're theming it as the warrior edition. So I'm excited about that. Of course, I'm creating a digital course called Bhakti and the Goddesses of Yoga. So that'll be available online for anyone who can't come to Costa Rica, but that wants to get that sort of experience where we can deepen in with the energies of the goddess. So that's an online course that's coming up this year. I am continuing to work with sacred singing groups. So I'm doing a full day retreat in a few weeks here in London. And I have ongoing small group, intimate group classes that I run. And so those are the things I'm really excited about. I still teach a lot of beautiful, relaxing classes. I do a lot of sound healing, sound bath work with my voice. And I'm starting to think about the next album, which I have a feeling is going to be called For Love. And so that's going to take some time to build, but I have a few songs already. And so I'm getting that bug to start working. It takes me a long time. It was 4 years between the first and second album, and it'd probably be 4. It's already been 2 since the second. So it'll probably come in the next year or 2.
You're such a
Yeah.
gift to this world, Rachel, and we're
Oh,
so
thank
excited
you.
about the album and all the things. And I know people can find you on your website and
Yes.
your socials, and of course we'll put that in the show notes. But thank you so much for coming on today. This conversation was amazing, and thanks for sharing your truth, your authentic self, and yeah, a little piece of your heart. We love you.
Thank you. Thank you. I love you too. I will say we started this. You asked me for the very first question, and it was around authenticity. And the whole conversation kind of wove all the way back through that. And I think that is really the key to really great self promotion, is just knowing who you are and being that.
Aho. Thanks, Rachel. Yay, you made it to the end of the Love Who You Are podcast. If you liked this episode, please subscribe and leave a review, or text a friend and share the love. These small actions make a big difference in this realm, and we thank you. And we have a present for you, a guide to creating and sustaining a home practice. In this free video, 7 experienced wellness leaders share what it takes to overcome the struggle of creating a home practice in anything: yoga, meditation, journaling, or whatever you'd love to do more of. You don't want to miss the wisdom of these incredible women. You'll find your free gift at devatree.com. That's DEVATREE.com. We'll see you next time, and know that you are loved.